As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Neo Humanity, we have our South Korean Zerg player, one of the best Zergs in all of South Korea, representing Mystery Gaming. It is RagnaroK. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran, representing himself. He is teamless, but he is also a streamer. Streams quite often. It is Percival. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. I'll have to quickly adjust the in-game overlay. Bam, there we go, and we are just diving on into this. And oh boy, as amazing as Percival looked in the previous series, and he was looking quite dominant against Rebellion, I'll be honest, RagnaroK is a different beast. RagnaroK is a GSL finalist of last year. Did lose in the finals of GSL against Maru, but it's Maru, so it's fine. You're allowed to lose to Maru. Yeah, RagnaroK is one of the best Zerg players in South Korea. I would say he is top 3 alongside Dark and Solar. I would rate RagnaroK above both Su and DRG at the moment. I do think RagnaroK is a little bit more in form. Even though RagnaroK didn't qualify for the most recent season of GSL, even though he got knocked out in the qualifiers or in Code A, I do think that he is still in better form, but we'll see if that's the case. We'll see if he can compete here with Percival. We'll see if Percival can take down RagnaroK. Percival has been looking really good recently. He's been taking down some big names, not just Rebellion like we saw earlier, but even in other events like the OSC mid-season playoffs and OSC King of the Hill, Percival has been looking really damn good. So I'm happy to report that Percival is in form. Even though we haven't seen him in a while, even though he took a bit of a break and he was on a hiatus for a couple of months, he is back and he's looking so good. Oh, Percival. As of course, he is one of the 3 bears, or I think he's Goldilocks. He may be just right. We have to iron that out. We do have to iron that out. As there are quite a lot of up-and-coming Korean Terran players out there. For the time being, though, we are getting into a pretty standard opener. RagnaroK did go for a hatch gas pool. He is going for the linear third base as well. This is going to be very safe, very conservative. Reaper shows up. Is going to be dancing with these Lings, and we actually force out 6 Lings here instead of 4. So RagnaroK being very careful here in his defense. Does arguably overinvest into those Lings, but you know what? He's getting his third base up and running, and again, this is going to be a very kind of safe location to expand. Oh, Percival has no idea, though. He checks the center base, he checks the triangular third. Now he should be rotating over towards the linear third, and there we go. He will get eyes on the third. On the hatchery. So now he knows it's not a 2-base all-in. And, oh, he could try and maybe get a drone kill here or there, but does get morphed into a gas geyser just in time. And this is why RagnaroK can be a really scary player to play against. We actually took our first gas at the natural, saturating it immediately. Okay, so a lot was happening. I don't know if you noticed. I glazed over it. But this third base was really fast. We actually delayed our gas. Oh my god. So we opened up gasless, so we can get a faster third base, which is why the hatchery was already done when the Reaper showed up. And from there, we're going into fast 2 gases and a Roach Warren. We're skipping Link speed. We're going for a Roach Rush. God, this was so interesting. Like, it was pieced together in such an interesting way. Percival back at home is going for a 3cc Banshee. So an economic opener. He's getting into his Banshee production, which will help. But the Roaches will hit first when there's only, I think, 1 Banshee out. Boy, bearing in mind that RagnaroK is droning behind this, I imagine he wants to move out and be active with these Roaches, but the Hellions are here and they're going to be able to slow this down. Looks like RagnaroK shouldn't be able to do too much with this. Yeah. Interesting. So he shows the Roaches to the Hellions. He's going to force a reaction out of his opponent, or at least he should. The Banshee is going to be staying at home as Percival tries to figure out what is going on, and RagnaroK, he just made Roaches to defend? Question mark? Okay. Yeah, maybe it was because he got scouted that he didn't really want to commit, but regardless, the Roaches, they're just being used to fend off these Hellions for the time being. Behind this, we're going straight for the lair. Saturating our bases. And yeah, we're just going to be going for a more defensive position instead. Really interesting playstyle here from RagnaroK. Really interesting kind of approach to this matchup and to this game. We are taking additional gases. This looks like Spire. This looks like Muta. There are no Evo chambers, so there's no reason to invest into this much gas. The Banshees are diving on in. They're trying to slip in between the bases. Queens are going to be keeping up. Banshees haven't seen too much yet, as the Hellions are looking to dive in towards the third base, but no, the Roaches are in position. The lair is now done. Show me the Spire. No, we do go for the double Evo chambers. Okay. Oh no. As RagnaroK overextends, one queen goes down for free. The second queen barely escapes. It is going to be for Roach speed, so we are committing into a 1-1 Roach timing. As we take all 6 gases, my god. I have a lot of gas to work with, Papi. A lot of gas. This could be going into just a 2-2 timing as well, depending on what we go for. We have link speed on the way behind this off of the 3cc Banshee opener. We're just getting into our typical production as well. We have 5 Raxes in the main, as to be expected. Should be seeing a couple more Raxes thrown down soon, and maybe even a 4th base. As we see Percival just continuing to be active here with his Hellions, looking for a way in. Is not able to find one though. But hey, the Banshees were able to do some nice damage killing the Queens. No major economic damage though. Looking at the units lost tab, 6 drones have gone down over the course of this game. As the Banshees do turn back around and get repaired. There are those 3 Raxes, by the way. We haven't taken the gas, or the second gas guys are at the 3rd. I am curious. I'm curious if we're going to be attempting to A-Rax here. As the drop is being fended off. Going to rotate over towards the main base instead. RagnaroK, he has been able to keep up. 1-1 is about to kick in. At the same time, the Hellions, they just dive into the mineral line, and they're going to be able to roast up 6 of these drones. Very nicely done, especially considering that these Hellions, they kind of run out of usefulness. They don't have a lot of longevity overall. So good trade here from Percival. He's going to be pushing on out. Behind this, no 4th base. 1-1 has kicked in. Just quickly checking saturation, and yeah, from here, I guess he can get into 2-2, but this push should be pretty committed from Percival. As he is essentially A-Raxing, and here we go. He's steaming on forward, he's pushing onto creep. Banelings are waiting for him, but there's no Baneling speed. It may not even matter. The Road Ravager is just too great. Every single tank will go down. The Miles! Oh. Even connect with some of those Marauders. At the same time, we did have a double drop peel off and head towards one of these bases. 7 workers go down, so the drop is doing some good damage, but Percival threw away a lot of supply to make this happen. He reset his own tank count. So the drop is forced to pick up even. Meanwhile, Percival, he's still rallying everything he has across the map. Again, this is designed to kill with these 8 Raxes, with no 4th base behind this. This is pretty committed. This is pretty all in. This has to break the Zerg. So we are going to be unsieging. We're going to be backing up at least with the tanks. We're just going to be pushing forward with the Marine Marauder. We did do some damage, don't get me wrong, but I think we needed more. There we go. The 4th base is thrown down. That 6th gas geyser is being taken as well. So it looks like Percival is going to be transitioning as he gets into 2-2. And he did do some decent damage. He cleaned up a lot of creep. He killed workers, traded with the army, and the supplies are looking pretty comparable. Here we go. We're going to be stimming on 4. That's a kill, not a cancel on that 5th hatchery. We have Ling Bane trying to back up here on the high ground, but I don't know if it's really going to be enough. We have a blinding cloud covering one of the tanks, the second one as well. But it looks like we may not have enough Bling Bane on the ground. Oof. Not enough Bling Bane, but plenty of Roach Ravager. As the Roach Ravager army does force back Percival for the second time. Now, bearing in mind that RagnaroK did lose a hatchery here that was killed. He barely has any creep in this area at all. And he's forced to expand over towards the right-hand side instead. Percival, he still has a lot of potential with his pushes. He's going for a double drop. One on the right-hand side, another towards the left. What little creature there was here on the right-hand side is going to go down. That explains it. I just checked. We don't have any creeping queens. We only have queens to inject. Oh god! Take a Baneling to the face. We do have a couple of power bombs as well. But if RagnaroK doesn't have a single creeping queen, so he just can't spread any tumors. He can't lay any down. And here we go. Now he's going for a massive counterattack. A tank is going to get caught out for free. He can't really engage with the Marines and Marauders though. Like fighting off of Roach Ravager fighting off of creep with Bling Bane, it can be difficult to pull off, especially in a frontal engagement. But here we go. He's pushing up the ramp. The tank is not sieged. Oh, it's a little bit late to do so, and it looks like RagnaroK is going to be able to break on through once again. Yeah, we have too much on the ground. Not enough tanks to support this. Planetary doing what it can as well, but the Banelings will detonate, and they will bring it down. RagnaroK is going to just barely be able to break on through. We have more bases where that came from, to be fair, but we do force a cancel. Hive is done. Ultra Cavern on the way. Snipes are going to be going up, don't get me wrong. And you could argue that RagnaroK is maybe overextending a little bit here, but nah, it's too much. GG gets called. And RagnaroK will take game number 1. GG. With, again, a really peculiar opener. Like, the start of that game was really odd to me, or really intriguing to me, just because he went gasless, went for just such a fast third base, got away with it as well. I want to say that, I guess because he's going gasless, it makes sense to go into roaches, just because slow lings aren't too useful at all. So we can get into roach production a little bit faster instead. Just to have an army to help deal with all those Hellions. Otherwise, if we didn't go roaches, those Hellions would actually be a really big problem. So I can see the logic behind the order of his build, or the build order, I guess. Yeah, makes sense. So we're going to be diving into game number 2. Mule, was that a Mana Mule? I don't think it was a Mana Mule. I want to believe it wasn't. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Mystery Gaming. It is RagnaroK. Going for the 15 hatch. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. Spawning in the top left, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran. It is Percival. As we just set this up, boom, there we go. So this is going to be a 15 hatch opener here, and I'm really interested in this. So we have had a lot of 15 hatch openers against Protoss, and recently we've also been seeing it against Terran as well, as it is going to be a 15 hatch into a 15 pool. I was kind of like racking my head this morning. I think I was talking to Frost, and Frost was asking me about it because apparently Cyril had been doing it against Clem recently, and I was wondering like what the benefits of going for a 15 against Terran is. And the other thing that I could really think of, and I'm sure there's probably more that I just couldn't kind of wrap my head around, is that obviously this leads to faster queen production and faster faster creep tumors, of course, as a result. Faster creep spread, that's the word that I was going for. From my understanding, I believe you can cut lings, and as a result of that, you can be greedier with your larva, to offset the fact that this is going to be, yeah, to offset the fact that that this is going to be like a bit of a later gas, for example. But I guess gas doesn't matter as much. As I say that, it does saturate it immediately. But gas doesn't matter as much in the early game, so I guess we can get away with delaying it a little bit further by going into these faster queens. And as I say that, there we go, only 2 lings are being made instead of 4 or even 6. Yeah, here we go. We do have RagnaroK going for his 3rd base at a pretty standard timing. The Reaper gets across the map. Lings are here to fend it off, and again, it's only going to be 2 lings, so we have to be very delicate here with our control. 1 ling goes down already, but by the time the 2nd ling is under threat, we have our queen. We can push this away, and we can spread that creep. Yeah, interesting stuff. Like, it just feels really larva efficient. I wonder if this is going to be the new norm. I'm really curious if the 15 hatch is going to catch on a lot more against Terran as well. As across the map, it is going to be a 3cc 111 from Percival. 3cc Banshee, I imagine, once again. As we're going to be getting into our 3rd queen, we're going to be going into our link speed as well. We do pull out as soon as we get that 100 gas. And we're able to just get into this. The more I think about the 15-15, the more I'm like, yeah, Dark's not going to use this. Like, Dark, he loves early lings in ZvT as... Oh, Reaper almost gets caught out. So, yeah, really interesting stuff. It's really cool to see this kind of coming into fruition. Meanwhile, Hellions have arrived. They're going to be rushing past the 2 queens. There's only 1 ling left to defend, and now the mineral line is under threat. And this is a way to abuse this. The Hellions do get cleaned up, but not before they get 3 drone kills. RagnaroK, he made a wave of 10 lings, but it was just a couple of seconds too late. So I love that Percival, he recognized the weakness of this opener, the lack of lings basically. He was able to abuse that a little bit. That could have gotten a little bit more out of hand, but 3 drones is still pretty good damage here for Percival. But I do think Hellion dives are definitely something that Zerg players have to worry about if they're going for the 15-15, and they have to prepare for it. We saw RagnaroK, he did have the lings on the way, but he wasn't able to get them out in time. Meanwhile, he's going to try to catch these Hellions, and he's having a hard time doing so. Oh my god! Oof! As we trade one of those Hellions for, how many lings was that? 10 lings. Jesus. GG. Good stuff from Percival. Back at home. Oh, we have not a 3cc 111. We have a 3cc 211 instead. Medevacs are on the way. Stim is already done. So Percival going to be once again playing with his opener, going to be a little bit more assertive with this as well. And this also shows us why Percival was so willing to throw away those Hellions. Because it was a 2-1-1, he only had 4 Hellions to begin with. Like, not too much, to be honest. So he wanted to get some value with them in some way. As he's going to be committing more into this double drop. He's going to be zooming across the map. Do we have enough to defend? We have 0 links, but we have 12 on the way. So again, RagnaroK, he has been cutting corners. He is playing on a knife's edge right now. As right now, we only have queens to defend. Lings are on the way. They're going to come out just in time. Really crisp stuff out of RagnaroK. Meanwhile, Percival is just going to be rotating over on the left-hand side. Looking to try and keep up with these lings. And yeah, for the most part, RagnaroK, he has a lot of freedom. Like, this is the downside of a 3cc 2-on-1. I know this is why, like, I'm not as fond of it either. I was gonna say, like, some of the other Terran players have been, you know, trying to figure out whether it's worth it or not. And I feel like going for a 3cc 2-on-1 puts a lot of pressure on the Terran to out multitask and out control their opponents and clear out creep and get worker kills and trade well against the Ling Bane. But because there are no Hellions, because there's no presence on the ground from Percival for a long time, it just means that this creep spread, it can just be spread for forever. This creep is it's all over the place. It's getting out of control. Likewise, sure, we clean up a couple of tumors here on the right-hand side, but RagnaroK is already here to respread it. So RagnaroK has so much map control right now. Percival still being active with the double drop is headed for the mineral line. Could look to find some drone kills, but no, is forced back by the Spore. RagnaroK already in the vicinity, able to push it away. He does split off his army as well. He's got to force towards the south. As Percival comes in, does get spotted by that Ling. And yeah, RagnaroK, he's just done such a great job at splitting off his army, keeping up with all the drop play of Percival, and maintaining so much map control. And eventually, by the time Percival pushes out with his main army, there's just going to be so much creep. It's going to be so difficult to gain too much ground before RagnaroK is there to stop him. Here we go. We do have a fourth base behind this. And the job doing what it can. But for the most part, the creep has spread past the halfway point. At least here towards the north. RagnaroK has been able to drone up quite happily and easily into 85 workers. Now we have a hive on the way, 2-2 into adrenal glands, into 3-3. Into even lunker play if we really want to. Sneakers are going down. We do see Percival now being a little bit more active on the map. Reinforcing here. It does force a cancel on the 5th base. 6th base even. The Marines have arrived. The tanks as well. Percival does lose a big chunk of his army, but he does have an army supply lead. Oh, the tanks are on siege! Oh, the tanks are a little bit too late. The Marines get surrounded, the tanks as well, and the entire push of Percival gets cleaned up. He once had a supply lead, not anymore. Oh boy, like everything was building up towards that one big push, and Percival, he got caught with his pants down. RagnaroK more than prepared for him. And now there's even more pressure on Percival to do damage. He finds a queen, gets some tumors, don't get me wrong. It's trading well overall. And he's slowly gaining ground, especially with these tank reinforcements. Like, this is a much better position to work with. You know, we don't have any creep here in the center of the map. The tanks leapfrogging forward this time. They're not being caught out, exposed, bunched up together in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, RagnaroK, he's setting up a surround. He's setting up to come in from multiple angles. Oh, and here we go. We are pulling the trigger. We're rolling on in. We have tanks in position, sure, but the Lings, they come in from every single angle, and it looks like the tanks at least will get cleaned up, but no, one tank will survive. Again, the surround from RagnaroK was a little bit mistimed. And Percival is once again pushing forward. He himself has a solid 4 base economy. He's rallying everything he has across the map as we speak. The Viper has arrived. We do have a yoink. Interesting yoink. But Percival's breaking through. Oh my god. Ling Hydra doing what they can. The Banelings roll on forward, but off of creep, the Banelings are not going to connect with anything. And just like that, Percival has broken through. And this is what I was talking about. Percival, he's been taking down some big names recently, and for him to go toe-to-toe with RagnaroK is very impressive. As once again, the pre-spread is too damn good. Percival had a rough start, losing his entire army essentially earlier, but his economy was left untouched. The Bailings are not finding the connections that they need. Tanks arrive once again. And Percival, he is slowly being overwhelmed by the reinforcements. The Viper comes in. Ooh. And RagnaroK, he's barely holding on. He's trying to. We have a couple more lings coming out. Oh my god. Oh. RagnaroK, he survives. He keeps the Viper alive. Lunkers are on the way. And suddenly, everything is different. Suddenly, Percival has run out of steam. He has to back off. He's expanding behind this. I can't believe that RagnaroK was able to hold on. And now that he has lurkers, defending is going to be that much easier. We have a game. We have a game, Bobby. Percival, he's going to be going for some drop play instead. Just going to be cleaning up whatever creep he can. We have We have a double jump zooming in towards the main base, but army's waiting for him. Ooh, full medevac goes down. RagnaroK trying to keep up. There we go, another push being set up from Percival. Again, very little creep shred here towards the south. We do have some lurkers, but one gets focused down. Well, these tanks are within range as well. The Hydras, they have to commit a little bit longer. They take down the tanks, but these lurkers are exposed. Lurkers are good, but not on their own. Every single lurker goes down. And that was the Hail Mary play for RagnaroK. In the top right, the hatchery folds as well. The drop getting out of control. And Percival somehow keeps all four of these. Look at these tanks. They're all on the they're all barely alive, on the brink of death, but they all survive. GG gets called, and Percival, he fights back, puts a point on the board, and we have an ace match. GG. Ugh. GG, well played. Percival looking terrifying in that game. Kind of making use of Babylon to great effect. Babylon does have a short rush distance, so you can be like hyper aggressive and just push into your opponent's bases, especially that triangular third. RagnaroK was barely holding on. I assumed that when he got his lurkers out that he'd be able to survive long enough to stabilize, but as we saw, he just didn't have enough to support those lurkers. He didn't have the Ling Bane he needed to provide any kind of shield or buffer for his lurkers. They were also exposed, and every single lurker got sniped. Really well done by Percival to not give his opponent enough breathing room to actually like kind of establish themselves and get comfortable. Really good stuff. Here we go. We are now getting into the ace match, game number 3, and spawning in the top left hand corner of Gresvan, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Mystery Gaming. Oh, going for the 15 hatch once again, it is RagnaroK. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran representing himself, but tying up the series 1-1 in that last game. It is Percival. Let's go. You can skip Lings because the Queen is out in time. Yeah. Tis what we gathered as well. Shout out to Ash in the chat. We're losing some frames. Yeah, it's not on OBS. I'm just losing frames on my PC, unfortunately. Hopefully it does iron out. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Might just be the stream then. Yeah, I think it's just the PC. It's just my PC, unfortunately. My PC is pretty old. I think I built this PC, what, 2016? 2017, around 2017, which was good at the time. It was really well done. Very expensive as well. I think this PC cost me like, Jesus, like $4,000, like $4,000 or something. But you know, over the years, maybe needs an upgrade. But last, I can't afford an upgrade, so we're just we're working with what we got. Hopefully the frames don't drop too hard, and hopefully everything is okay. I mean, usually the streams are fine, but every now and then, especially if there are too many particle effects or too much Ling Bane, then maybe frames will skip here and there. Smooch. Feels bad, man. As we're getting into this, once again, 15-15 from RagnaroK. Getting his queens out. He's got 2 lings out as well. Love this, just to fend off that pesky SCV. And we'll see if Percival can find any damage. If you recall last game, this Reaper is looking to find some of these drones. Does force a spore. But I was going to say, in the previous game, we saw that Percival was able to take advantage of his Hellions and abuse the fact that RagnaroK just didn't really have enough lings to defend, and he was able to get some drone damage as a result. We'll see if Percival is able to do the same again. So RagnaroK gets his 3rd base up and running. Gonna be working on his 3rd queen as well, and behind this, nothing too crazy either. Never mind. I was like, my brain was breaking. I was looking at the production, and I saw that there was a 2nd Rax on the way, and I was like, where? What? I don't... What? Oh, I see. I see the 2nd rack. So we have a 2-1-1 here from Percival. Something you don't see too often is going to be hidden here behind the mineral line. And the other interesting thing about this 2-1-1 is that we are keeping the reactor on this factory as well. We are pumping out Hellions. This feels like a bit of a 2-1-1, but with the twist. The twist being the Hellions to initially, and on top of that, this will be hiding the build itself. We could even utilize them in the push later on as well. Interesting moves here out of Percival. With the revelation of these Hellions, it should be a 1-1-1 variation, whether it's a 1-1-1 into a faster 3rd CC or just a straight up faster starport and factory. So RagnaroK is kind of being fed false information. It's really cool to see. There's that add-on swap. Medevacs are going to be on the way. We're continuing Hellion production. Bear that in mind. So this can lead towards an armory for a Hellbat push, or we can just use Hellions as they are. You know, Hellions are good units on their own as well, when they can kite, when they can deal with all those lings. But there we go. There's the armory. So it's going to be a 2-on-1 Hellbat push from Percival. Very committed. Very aggressive. This will hit very hard, and RagnaroK has no idea.
You have a new queen. Show me those skills.
I keep forgetting that RagnaroK has Diva. God damn it. Thankfully, RagnaroK is going for a safety Baneling Nest, though, so it looks like he has pieced together that something is wrong. Otherwise, we would have gone for a faster lair if he had, you know, recognized that everything was okay. Hellions are revealing themselves. Queens are brought forward. More lings are on the way. And there are those Banelings. As this 3rd CC has finally been spotted. There we go. I guess that the timing for the 3rd CC is pretty late, so that did kind of signify to RagnaroK that, okay, I do need to focus on my army. And here we go with the Banelings rolling on in. They should be able to find the connections. Oh, they do connect with the Hellbats. More Banelings roll on forward, and there is enough Zerg on the round to clean this up. Good target firing as well. RagnaroK, he shoots down the first medevac. And now RagnaroK is in a really good position. His drone count is untouched. 4th base on the way. Double EVA chambers for double upgrades. Lair is done. RagnaroK has everything he could ever need. He can even start bailing speed, but no, he goes for a faster Hydroden? My god, the greed, Papi. The greed is insane. There's the bailing speed we were talking about. RagnaroK just getting everything at this point. Meanwhile, Percival, he has to back off, lick his wounds. slowly take his third base, slowly get into his own upgrades. After the death of his first medevac, the Marines and the Hellions, and he just has to relinquish map control. We do have another medevac on the way though, so with this, Percival can be active. But he's got a lot of work to do. Oh, let's go, Piper. The triple drop does get spotted immediately by RagnaroK. Lingbane is on the way. Queens are going to get caught out. One queen goes out for free. And the Marines are going to be able to get on top of some of these more freaking banelings as well. The target firing is pretty damn good. We only have 2 banelings left. We have enough to force a pick up. So Lingbane does once again get on top of these medevacs, and yeah, even though we did get a queen, of course, we aren't able to get too much else. RagnaroK just continuing to spread that creep, asserting himself on the map. Getting away with taking up quickly into those Hydras, getting into Lingbane Hydra. And Percival just doing whatever he can to slow down his opponent. Gets a second queen. Oh, actually, that was the last creeping queen. Uh-oh. Yeah, we don't have any other queens left. Only queens to inject each base. RagnaroK has to be careful, as he's at least going to be replacing one of them, thankfully. There we go. Another tumor is going to get thrown down. See RagnaroK with plenty of map control here, but Percival has had enough behind this. Pretty similar setup to game number 1, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, we have 8 Raxes, only 1 gas, no 4th CC. Percival being very committed. Push on forward, 2-2 on the horizon behind this. Lings are looking to catch some reinforcements, and they will get some Marines, but the tank does siege up. No, never mind. The tank is going to be going down. Oof. Good move from RagnaroK. But this tank position can be really difficult to deal with. Like, ideally, we want to be coming from behind as well, and there we go. RagnaroK, he does split off some of his army. He is looking to once again come in from behind. And he actually just commits to a counterattack instead. Yeah, he catches some of these reinforcements. The banelings, they can go into the mineral line. Up. Oh, no, they go back towards the Marines instead, and everything gets cleaned up. That was a big loss for RagnaroK. That was a lot of banelings. Uh-oh. A bit of a blunder from the Korean Zerg player, and now Percival can focus on his main push. The tanks are late to siege. The banelings roll in once again. Every single tank's going to go down. But what about the Marines? What about the man with gun? Liberators, they siege on forward. More Lingbane is waiting, lying in wait. But the pre-splits are pretty good. The Liberators keep on leapfrogging forward. Behind this, Percival is taking his 6th gas and going for that 4th base, so he's not all in. He is setting up for his 4th. And RagnaroK will survive. It's like Percival, he wasn't liking the idea of continuing to push forward. He will back off with the majority of his army. He's going to take this a little bit slower as he gets his 4th base up and running. Likewise, RagnaroK is able to establish himself as well. I'm a little bit surprised, but RagnaroK, his worker count's actually pretty low. This is his 4th base, by the way. His hatchery was killed earlier. He still doesn't have his 5th. RagnaroK's economy and production is not looking too good. So we're going for the tri-pronged attack. We have a drop here towards the south. Just started stepping quite well against those Banelings. We do have Ragnar trying to go for his own counterattack, but he runs into the reinforcements. Liberator doesn't quite find a way to siege up. Oh, it's going to go down. I was waiting for it, Poppy. I was waiting for a siege in the main, but it didn't quite happen. Does get cleaned up. Things are going to be settling down. RagnaroK finally gets his 5th up and running, finally able to saturate it as well. But he's still only working with Lingbane Hydra, and Percival is close to maxing out. So is RagnaroK, to be fair, but RagnaroK is falling behind a little bit in those upgrades. Has not started +3 melee. Gonna be working towards range instead. Lurker Den just finished, but we don't have any Lurkers yet. RagnaroK may be waiting for the Hive upgrades instead. Oh, those both players are shocking around each other. Oh, and we do force a cancel towards the north. RagnaroK is basically waiting for Percival to push in. Like, he's kind of getting ready for a surround, especially if Percival pushes through the center of the map. But Percival, he knows. He's aware. He sees the army, and he's going to be able to pick away at it. As we're getting into ghost production for the Terran player. Meanwhile, here we go. RagnaroK, he has had enough waiting. He's collapsing onto the center army, and there just wasn't a lot here, unfortunately, for Percival. He was spread a little bit too far thin. A lot of his supply was back at home instead. We have the blinding clouds. We barely have any Marines remaining. The Banelings, they roll on forward. They want the ghosts. They want them, Poppy. They want them. Ah! As the ghosts, they do kite all the way back to the tanks, and the ghosts will survive, but I can't say the same for the third base. At the same time, we do have a double drop across the map, but no, we have plenty of reinforcements back at home. RagnaroK cleans up the drop, and he takes down the third. And sure, Percival, he may have kept all these ghosts alive, but really, it's only ghost tank. He lost everything else. And now Percival is on the back foot. A lot of this all escalated very quickly. The army in the center of the map from Percival, it was like a third of his supply, and he had it out here, just spread so thin, I guess trying to establish himself. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that he had so much more supply back at home, and as a result that army was so vulnerable, did get swallowed up in the end, and things kind of escalated from there. And now RagnaroK has map control. He has map control, he's got 5 bases, working on his 6th base, droning up. RagnaroK can kind of do whatever he wants at this point. I say kind of because, like, breaking into these fortified bases are still going to be difficult, but not here towards the south. The Lunkers, Bobby. How many do we have? We have 13 Lunkers. Oh my god. Did I say 13? I meant to say... I meant to say 9 as 4 of them will go down, but here towards the north, the Lingbane rolls on in. There's nothing to protect this planetary. It will go down to the Banelings. We've seen this before. The Terran is just having a really hard time keeping up with the Zerg. They're losing base after base. Having a really hard time remaxing. And honestly, as long as RagnaroK keeps the pressure up, I don't see a world where Percival can remax. As we have another Baneling run by here towards the north. Lunker drop going into the main. There's nothing here. And this fresh mining base of Percival is gonna be knocked down by the Banelings. He gets the SCVs! He wants them! The FCVs will be chased down at the same time. The Doom drop into the main base. The Lunkers, they take control of the production. Lings looking to hit that fourth as well as tank after a tank go down. And with that scan, I think that may just be it. The Ghosts are going to try and clean up whatever they can, but the production, it's gone at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4 Raxes go down. It's going to be so difficult to recover from this position. The Baileys, they roll in once again. Hydras, can they get the CC? Oh, they just barely do. The CC goes down, GG gets called, and RagnaroK will take the series 2-1. GG. Oh, which button is it? GG, well played. Congratulations to RagnaroK for taking the series, but Percival, he didn't look too bad. I was really impressed with how Percival played every single one of these games. Even here in game 3, like he had a lot of momentum. I can see some people in the chat as well were like, yo, does he have this game? Is he winning this? And he was looking really good in the early to mid game. But at a certain point, one fight went awry for him, and then suddenly RagnaroK was able to re-establish his bases, his economy, his production, max out, and never let it go from there. So, alas, GG, well played. Hope to see more Percival in the future. Always a fan of Percival, always, Papi, always. But congratulations to RagnaroK. He is going to be able to move on to the next round to face off against the winner of Oliveira versus Jeshi.